How's it going, guys? Today, I'm going to be featuring the Vermont, the legendary tier American battleship. Now, where to begin with Vermont? I guess I'll start by saying that it's uber scuffed and a disappointment. At least today, after Montana and GK got buffed. And then also now having Louisiana, there's just all the other American battleships, in my opinion, are just way better. A lot of the things that made Vermont really good on PC, we do not have, which kind of sucks. And then on top of not having those gimmicks, the AP Alpha, which on PC is the same alpha as something like Ohio or Georgia at 15,750. Here is 14,200. Yeah, it's a kind of big nerf, in all honesty. More than 10% damage is lost, which for something that is extremely reliant on broadside and like its whole salvo weight, and then finding those specifically opportunities where you can generally show up and smash a broadside isn't exactly possible in Legends, at least not with the way the maps are, the way the ships spawn, 3 on the left, 3 on the right, 3 in the middle. The only way you can possibly have a decent game, well, that's a lie, but for the most part, the only way you can have actual good games is if you get the middle spawn. Generally, if you're on a flank, you're either going to fight a lot of bow-in reversing ships, or you might have a lot of broadside stuff, smash them, and then you'll have to go to the other side of the map, which in a ship that is very heavily reliant on using drill bits to have an advantage over Montana now. I mean, you're going 22 knots on significantly larger maps. So let's just imagine something like the lower tier American battleship, something like New York, Texas, New Mexico, California, except you're actually playing on full-sized maps rather than the shrunken stuff that they get. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the biggest problems early on in Legends lifespan, which was the lower tier, slower battleships, you smash your side and then your game's basically over. And in this one, we're kind of lucky that the enemy middle team came this way, otherwise our match would have been over very quickly. But yeah, I feel like I have a lot more complaints about Vermont than actual praises. The only thing going for Vermont, in my opinion, is having 30mm overmatch, which is decent of kind of a, I guess, gimmick, especially because there is a few more 30mm cruisers in the game now, and we are seeing a bit more, especially Venezia's, and with the way they are played at range and generally kiting, having 30mm overmatch is kind of important, because if you're in something like Montana or GK and you don't have the overmatch, they'll just simply angle, and then a lot of that damage is going to be lost simply because you can't overmatch and they'll just ricochet most of your shells. But yeah, I guess also a downside for Vermont, even though it does overmatch 30mm armor, is the fact that the shells are so slow and concealment is bad. And if you're trying to play around your concealment, more often than not, shells are so slow that even if a cruiser's broadside, they have more than enough time to either turn away or slow down, and then your salvo basically does nothing. And then you're going to wait for the whole 36 seconds for your guns to reload, which at least it's not the 40 seconds that PC is. But I honestly feel like I'd rather have the 40 seconds and keep its actual, you know, EP alpha that it should have. Because without it, it just doesn't feel like Vermont has that much of an advantage over Iowa, or a reason to play it over Iowa. What am I saying? Iowa, Montana. But yeah, I mean, if you're trying to keep the speed in Vermont, you're still going to be slower than Montana with drill bits, which, I mean, I think Montana with drill bits goes like 28 knots, and Vermont is still only going to be going slightly under 26. I think it's 25.7. So I mean, you're losing in speed no matter what. And then if you were trying to keep your speed, and Montana has drill bits, Montana's AP alpha is higher than Vermont. I feel like Vermont should have kept one of the other gimmicks, either concealment or maybe even its propulsion to help with the speed issue, or maybe both. I don't think it needs the 40-second cooldown heal, but at least concealment and propulsion would be nice. But yeah, I simply do not like Vermont in Legends, and that's kind of the reason why I'm using this very weird build. I'm trying to figure out how to make Vermont actually work in Legends, and that's basically fully building into concealment and then relying on our. I think I have an epic plotting room in this one and not a legendary. Uh, and I guess just relying on that to get us our accuracy as we deal damage throughout the match, which isn't, a terrible idea. I technically do that with Ohio, but then Ohio has Warspite Dispersion, which is slightly better than American Dispersion, and then it also has a 2.0 Sigma where Vermont is, I think, at 1.95, so Ohio's technically more accurate if we weren't using, or I guess if we were using the same build, which, yeah, I guess also Ohio is more worth than Vermont is. I guess all of them really, but yeah, you'll see why I feel like concealment is such a nice thing to have, especially in a battleship that's so slow. In a little bit, I mean, generally what happens is if you weren't building into concealment, you would have, I think, 13.7 detection, which is kind of bad. I mean, it's on par with all of the other battleships at the tier. So I guess it's not technically bad, but then having such a slow ship, if you get caught pushing in, there is basically zero chance for you to disengage. You're too slow to turn out, and if you do turn out and manage to not lose all your HP, trying to run away is going to be impossible. You're going to be set on fire, and then your detection will go up by 2 kilometers. So trying to get out of now a 15-kilometer detection is just not going to be possible. But you'll see right here, because I am using a full concealment build, double conceal inspirations, and the new hybrid commander actually, because it has firefighter, master mechanic, and drill bits. So I was curious to see if this could work. But yeah, we actually go undetected here, and well, we kind of get to I guess not have to panic that we're getting focused by so many ships. And also, I guess the battleship that's actually on the flank now, I mean, we could just keep going and not get shot at by him, which is kind of nice. But yeah, I feel like if we did have concealment and we're actually able to keep an accuracy build, I may consider Vermont to be much better than, well, what it currently is. And if it's not that, I mean, the AP Alpha, it's, I don't know, it's hard. I mean, I know they didn't want to make the same mistake with releasing a super strong ship like Colombo again. And, I mean, they released Colombo, then now they buffed Montana and GK. I feel like Vermont and Yamato are probably in the queue for getting some changes. I think Yamato is still okay, but at the same time, it was getting nerfed because it fought tier 7. But now that it fights tier 8 and legendary only, I feel like the nerf in its current state is a little too much for what it has to fight now. So hopefully something like that changes. But yeah, I mean, we can still overmatch Minotaurs, which is nice, but so can everything else. But yeah, I don't know. Still trying to find an actual reason to play Vermont and actually enjoy it. And I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think it's just probably the ship speed. And maybe even the fact that I'm sometimes a lot more aggressive in battleships, even if they're more sniping, and have a more sniper role. And Vermont is like the opposite of that, where you just sit at range basically, and then shoot and go unspotted. I mean, it could also be that, which is why I don't enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, at least we're having a decent match trying to use this weird build, just trying to figure out how to enjoy it. I don't know if I'll keep using it because obviously you want to keep accuracy as much as you can, so you smash things. But yeah, it would be a lot better to be able to delete things early game than late game, because by late game, either your team is all dead or the enemy team is all dead, which sucks more often than not. But yeah, I think we just got kind of lucky that most of the enemy ships that spawned in the middle actually came to our flank, because if they did go to the other side, yeah, our game would have been over a long time ago, which would have been tragic. But yeah, I guess Yoshino is one of those examples of having 30mm overmatch is nice. But yeah, unfortunately we don't actually get to get the kill. Actually, I do have a ledge mod in this one. I thought I had an epic. I was running an epic for the longest time. I even took off the plowing room and put it on something else from this time, I think, just because Vermont is more frustrating than enjoyable. And I can't tell you how many matches it took to actually get a 3K in this thing compared to trying to use the others and how much more enjoyable they are. But at least we got it done. But yeah, I feel like Vermont needs a little something extra to make it better. It's kind of crazy though. Vermont is obviously large, but Louisiana is larger with its hangar and aircraft deck and all the planes and everything, but it's faster than Montana actually. So, yeah. How that makes sense, I don't know. I mean, maybe they can do some more gaming magic and let Vermont go at 30 knots. Maybe that'll be good and then worthwhile. Maybe like a legendary tier version of Constellation. Constellation's pretty fast, even though it's absolutely massive. That would be kind of interesting. But in its current state, not so much. But yeah, like I said, I was using the hybrid guy because it's tank build plus drill bits. Actually, I wasn't even using firefighter. I had on second thought for 5% reload speed, which I guess does kind of help with Vermont's long reload, and considering the alpha is lower than I would like it to be. Um, but yeah, weird build. I am using Kondo and Sovietsky Rassia because Rassia actually does, well, it's not max, but if it is max, it would do the same concealment for battleships that Swirsky would do, but it's applied to detectability rather than only sea detectability, so you could actually benefit from others as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more, and share it with your friends, or leave a comment down below on other ships you want to see in the future. But till next time, aloha.